Welcome to Healing Highs with Lara, where we talk about the highlights and serendipitous moments of our healing journeys. I'm Lara. Thank you for being here. Today's episode is very different than our previous episodes. This episode is a compilation of previous guests. So we started at the very beginning with our very first guest having this idea that each guest, if they had a story to share, could share a spirit visitation, a ghost story, an ancestor visitation, and that we would put them in 1 or 2 episodes, which it is going to be 2 episodes. In this episode, our focus is on what the guest is sharing, which is a spirit story visitation or a ghost story. I am at times sharing spirit stories, at times sharing an ancestor story, but the focus is that the guest is always sharing a spirit or a ghost story. In this episode, we have EVP that we played which is I recorded a voice saying hello at a location. We have that for you. We have a beautiful story of a friendship visitation that led to connecting with Archangel Michael and so much more. All the guests' bios will be in the description below. So please enjoy again. Grace Gabel, Marlene Martin, Janell Shun, Aluna Lua, and Veronica Vargas. Welcome back, healer. We are talking about ancestor, spirit stories, ghost stories. This is Grace Gabel. She is an actress, writer, and theta healing practitioner, and we're going to each share a spirit ghost story. So, do you have one to share?
Yeah. So in college, I was sleeping in bed and I rolled over and woke up, and there was this woman just sitting in my chair staring at me, leaning forward. And she was wearing a gray suit, and it was a skirt and a pink shirt, and it was she was trying to tell me something, but the more I woke up, then she disappeared, and I think I scared her off.
Yeah.
But I've had a couple times when I was sleeping where I feel someone came to visit me. Mm-hmm. And my family's convinced there's a ghost living in their house. And I think my grandma, my mom's mom, will come hang out in the house. Oh, the cool. Light will flicker. Mm. And sometimes when you talk to it, it'll flicker different ways.
Oh, nice.
So maybe if I knew Morse code, I'd know what she was trying to tell me.
Yeah. Or you do yes is 1 blink, no is 2 blinks. The person that you saw, what an interesting thing that she was wearing that whole outfit.
That's why I thought it was real as opposed to something in a dream or fake, because it was so specific. And it wasn't really in fashion. It felt I don't know, maybe the outfit someone died in. And so yeah, she was trying to tell me something.
And where were you living at when that happened?
I was in Evanston.
Okay.
So in Illinois, near Chicago.
Oh, wow. That is so weird. Because usually, when people see ghosts, it's an apparition, or it's that back with the old actual film, when you would look through, it was an outline of the picture.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to that. It's a white, black outline of them.
Yeah.
You don't always see their material or their clothes and things like that.
Yeah. I 2 weeks ago, woke up and had this fox face in my face, and that didn't have any color or imagery. It was more what you're saying. It was almost energy, but I could see the outline of it. Versus this one, I had her. It was almost a photo or something, a person.
Yeah. Wow, that's so specific. Okay, I'm going to tell you mine. So, almost 11 years ago, my boyfriend at the time, his daughter, we wanted to go do so the Queen Mary, you can go on a tour, and they give you the haunted spots, and it's an hour. It's very nothing. But they also did this thing very rarely where you can meet them at 11 o'clock at night, and they would give you equipment, and you can actually go look for measure stuff. And it was this hour and a half thing, and they would take you into different parts of the ship that you didn't normally go, and they would just let you ghost hunt. And they would tell you the whole time set your phones on record, take video, you never know. Mm-hmm. And so the whole time we're doing it, it's supposed to last an hour and a half. We were there for at one point I looked at my phone, I was it's 2 a.m, we're still in the bottom of the ship. Because we were just having so much fun, and the group was great, and the guy was great that led us. And my sister at the time happened to be visiting, and she's not really super believer, but she was like there. And then at one point he was like telling a ghost story before he like led us into this area, and she like grabbed my leg like, oh, and I was like, oh, it's getting to her, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm recording, I'm doing all the gadgets that he has. Nothing of note happened, and we just had like a really great time. Then a couple days later, I'm going through my recordings and my videos, seeing if I see anything, and I found on a voice note, you hear at the tiniest voice. And when I play, and I'm just playing everything, and when I played it, my sister, who's like not really the believer, was sitting right next to me, and she heard it. It's very subtle, and she heard it, and she just looked at me. She's like, "No," because she was there. She knows no one spoke in that moment. So I'll play it for you. And so what happened was we were in the front of the nose of the ship, in this like tiny, like it was really full of machinery, and the host says to us like, you know, he tells us something, and then he goes, okay, we're gonna go, you know, look around. But before anyone moved, he just was like, is there anyone here? Hello. And then he says hello again, and I'll play that second hello for you. And right after he says it, you hear this tiny voice say, hello.
Oh my gosh,
so
that's wild.
Hopefully you can hear it.
Hello?
Did you hear it? Okay, here.
No, I couldn't hear it.
Wait, did I rewind it? Sorry. Let me go back.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, it's such like a weird vocal
It sounds like
quality.
a robot. Like,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so subtle, but like you have to have it like right in your ear. And so
How did you even hear that?
because I was just like this, like listening, and then I was like, and my sister was like, no. So could you hear it in the headphones? Okay, so that's good. So I don't leave it. Yeah, so that was the coolest thing. And then I sent the guy it, and he was like, I'm gonna put it on my website. It's a EVP Class C like electric voice projection or something. And I was like, oh, very cool. I like caught a ghost on tape.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's it. So that's our ghost stories for today. Thanks for joining us. Hi, we're back with Marlene, an embodied mindfulness coach, and we are going to share a ghost spirit story.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. I feel like you're like breathing.
You
Like
ready?
Okay, go. Campfire.
Okay. I'm not sure if this is the scariest one I've ever done, but this is definitely a campfire one. So this is true story. Shortly after my ex-husband and I separated, long time ago, 2003, I was sleeping by myself for the first time in 12 years. And that didn't seem so scary. That actually felt really good. I liked sleeping on my own. But one night I was sleeping in bed, and we had an old house that didn't have air conditioning, so we had, one of those fans up in the ceiling fan, and I had it on because it was a warm summer night, and all of a sudden the sound of the fan turned into this like cackle, this like and I was like, okay, wait up. That's not the fan. I was like, I woke up, I turned the fan on and off, it stopped making it. I turned the light, and then I could hear. I turned the light back off, I got in bed, and then I could not only hear the laugh started again, but then it was a voice, and the voice was like, I'm gonna get you, and you're not safe in this space. And I was like, whoo, okay, I hear you, and I know you're here, and something needs to change. You need to go. You're not welcomed in this space. And usually when I sense like a spirit that doesn't have my well-being in mind, I can just ask them to go, and they go. Yeah. But this one was very persistent. She was very loud, sounded like a female voice, very angry, very not great, definitely was getting chills. And so I actually called one of my best friends, and I was like, hey lady, I know it's 2 a.m. And thank God she answered. I said, this is happening in my room. And I wanted to stop. Like I'm interested in asking the spirit to go. So I had already asked it to go. I had already asked it to leave the premises. I told it wasn't welcome. And it just continued to repeat over and over again that I wasn't safe, that I was going to get hurt. And so funny enough, my friend says, just start repeating with me. The power of Christ compels you.
Yeah.
The power of Christ compels you to leave.
Yeah.
You may leave now. The power of Christ compels you. 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 We said it like 50 more times. And I just felt this big, it's like a Halloween story. I just felt this big wind. And the fan stopped making the noise. And the room felt totally still and totally at peace. And I was like, oh, Karen, thanks. That was a great idea. I really appreciate that. And I was able to, like really thank her. This is one of my best friends from high school. And obviously at this point I'm in my 30s and we're on the phone and I just thanked her. And she was like, yeah, no problem. Call me anytime.
Yeah.
And we hung up. And I actually felt totally safe to go back to sleep. I felt like fine, but definitely of all the apparitions I've seen and heard and been around,
That was a dark.
That was a challenging one.
I love that you had a friend to call in the middle of the night to be like, help me expel this demon from my room.
Something's going on. Yes, I'm very grateful for that really good friend. Yeah.
That would be terrifying to hear it, feel it,
Yeah.
hear it clearly saying those words.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool. Let's clear out.
That actually reminds me, again, I'm going to change
Oh!
it. We'll save the other one for another time. So I'm trying to think when this was, like a lot of years ago, but my partner at the time was going through a really hard time, and we would see this healer friend of ours from New Mexico. He would come to California and spend like 10 days, and he would just do healings like all day long. Yeah. And so he went for my ex went for his first healing with him, but I had known him for a few years and gotten healings from him. And so he came back and I said, how was it? Did you love it? What did he say? And he says I have an attachment since I was a kid. And we knew, like, it made a lot of sense for what he was dealing with. And he said I have to wear tourmaline for 3 months to keep it away permanently.
Right.
And I said, how are you going to wear it for 3 months? You're going to put it in your pocket. You're not going to have it all the time. But he had his ears pierced. So I was like, let's get you earrings that are made from tourmaline that look like you feel okay wearing them. Yeah. And so I went on like Etsy and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, how about these? And he's like, yep, those look good. And I'm trying to buy that. I'm trying to buy it. And my computer won't work all of a sudden. And I'm like, okay, this is so weird. I'm like, let me try my phone. Phone's spinning, not working. And I knew immediately. I was like, I know this is
getting in the way.
The entity. Okay. Yeah. And so then I said, let's just figure it out in the morning. And he goes, okay, yeah. So the next morning I try again. It's not working. And he goes, I'm going to go for a walk. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I waited. I didn't say anything to him.
Right.
I knew what was going on. And so he left. The minute he left, I got on there. Computer works. I bought them. He walked in the door, a different person. He was so angry. And he even said, I don't know why I'm so mad. And I knew, but I didn't want to say anything.
Right.
And so the day goes on, and it was this like kind of fluctuating where he would be like, I feel so angry. I don't know why I'm so angry, but like nothing's wrong, but I'm so mad. And I knew. So we go to the movies, laughing as a comedy. We get in the car, and he just turns to me and he goes, I am so mad at you, and I don't know why I'm so mad at you. And I go, okay, it's because I bought the earrings. And he immediately got flooded with like her energy, and he goes, oh my gosh, she's so mad at you. I can feel it. She's so angry with you. What are we going to do? And I go, it's fine. I'm protected. We're okay. And he was so worried and upset, right?
Yeah.
We get home, we go to sleep. I open my eyes in the middle of the night, and this woman is hovering above me. Right. She's gorgeous, like 1920s pin curls, just beautiful style from like that time period. Yeah. And I see her, and it kind of tricks you to think like, oh no, she's beautiful, lovely, what is this? And I'm looking at her, and then I realize, oh, it's her. Yeah. And I sit up, and she's just staring at me, and I go, get away from me, you're not welcome here. And this being that I'm seeing just shrinks down to his feet, completely emaciated, changes completely. Sunken eyes,
Yeah.
just bones, dark, like decrepit. And I say, "You're not welcome here. Get out of here." And she disappears. The next night, same thing, but just slightly different visual, looks a little bit different, but same thing, to the point that I woke up, crawled across the bed, like, "Get out of here."
Yeah.
Same thing, she disappears. And he kept being like so concerned about me and that
Right.
she's going to come after me. I was like, "She's not going to come
No.
after me. I'm good."
Yeah.
And yep, we got the earrings. He wore them for 3 months. It was totally different. The first week he wore them, it was interesting because these random girls would come up to us and go, "Can I have a hug?"
Whoa.
And he would be like, "No, I don't know you." Or, "Can I get a ride with you in your car?" And we knew what was happening. We both knew what was happening, that she was trying to connect again. But after that first week, it was done and it was fine. But it was so, like you said, it was so vivid. She was right there.
Yeah.
It was scary, but
you knew.
I felt okay. Like
Safe.
I had my angels and I was good. And it was just a matter of me being like, "No, not welcome."
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that's a great story.
I totally forgot about that until you said
it
the
came
bed.
up.
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh yeah, that happened
Yeah.
too." Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing
You're so
your
welcome.
spirit stories for us.
Spooky
All right.
spirits.
Thank you, everyone. This is TASMR for Seva T advertisement. This episode is sponsored by Seva Tea, handcrafted for the conscious soul, deeply rooted in ancient wisdom of Ayurveda. Each sip, Seva Tea invites you on a sacred journey of self-care, elevating your soul through a mindful practice. Seva Tea is available at Seva Tea Lounge, located inside Kavala Wellness in Long Beach, California, or on Etsy. Learn more on Instagram at Seva Tea Lounge. Hi, welcome back. We're here with Janell Shun, Reiki Master Teacher. We are sharing our ghost spirit stories. Did you want to tell one? I forgot. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay. So I was thinking of this story when I was like, I want to say like 12. My sister went to a soccer camp somewhere in Northern California, and we drove to an Airbnb, and we are going to pick her up the next day. So we stayed in this Airbnb, I think for 2 nights, and I had my own room. And I was like, "Oh, I have my own room. This is so, I'm so grown up." And I woke up in the middle of the night, and it looked like a man with a top hat, and a woman with like a veil, and they were standing super close together, and they were just at the end of my bed staring at me, and I was like, no, that's not real. That's the curtains and like the curtain rod, you know.
Trying to like
totally.
Yeah.
And I just like rolled over and went to sleep. And the minute my eyes opened in the morning, I like rolled over to see
if they were there.
if there were curtains, and there were no curtains.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, it was a bride and groom. It was a bride and groom, man in long, you know,
That's
suit,
what I was thinking, bride and
top
groom,
hat,
veil.
yeah, and then her veil, dress, and I just was like, no, it's like the black of him is like the side of the wall and the curtain rod, and then the dress and the veil was the curtains. I was like trying hard to convince myself, and then literally the next morning I was just like, huh? No, it's no, they had no curtains at all, nothing. So I was like, okay. So then the next night I'm like laying kind of on my left side at the edge of the bed, and I turn the light out, and then I roll just a little bit on my right side, but not completely, and something just completely shoves me.
Oh.
And I roll across the bed, and I'm like, oh, no.
Like, oh no, you didn't.
You know, I'm like a kid, so like I've seen stuff at this point, I've felt stuff, but I've never had like a aggressive like spirit around me. And so I just like didn't know what to do. I just turned around and turned the light on, and I don't know why I didn't think like maybe to go like ask my parents. I don't know, because my parents, like, we talked about that stuff a lot, so they probably would have said like, say a prayer, ask for protection, you know. But I just froze, I think. And so I just turned the light on, and I just laid there, and then I was like, I'm gonna sleep with the light on, as if that would help, but it did. Nothing happened after that, and I just kept waking up like looking around. So then the next morning we were getting a small tour of the space before we left, and we went into the attic, and the owner of the Airbnb was telling us stories about the people that would come stay there, and it was like a stagecoach stop.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she literally described like, you know, people come here for their honeymoon or on their way to their, you know, after they got married. Like, she was literally validating everything that I had seen or had happened. And as it was happening, I guess I had told my parents in the morning. So when she was telling us the stories, you know, you're a kid, so you don't want like a grown up to like address you. I was shy. And so my dad would look at me like, she's talking about like what you saw, and I'd be like, oh god,
like, oh, that makes it real.
Yeah, I was like, it was real. She's like confirming it, but then I didn't want her to like ask me about it, and then I would be like embarrassed. But yeah, she was literally like, I just remember my dad kept looking at me like, that's what you said, that's what you saw, and I was like, okay, yeah. So those are my stories. What was the one you wanted to share?
I think, well, I have so many stories. I think luckily I've never seen anyone at the foot of my bed, if not in my imagination or like mind's eye. That's probably real. But yeah, I think I went through a phase. Not going. It's the morning, right? Yeah, I went through this phase of like I still do it, like in my sleep, like things. I feel like things come to me, and I'm always like doing Reiki symbols to like banish them and to get them away. So I'm kind of like dueling and doing my battles at night. But I remember one time it felt like, I don't know if it was a dream within a dream, but I think it was probably real to a point. But I could feel like, you know, the Berber feeling carpet on my face because I was like down on the ground, like next to my bed. But then kind of like not thrown or pushed, but then like the next day, or like when I woke up, I was in bed. So I was like, did I? Nah, you know, like that kind of thing. And then one time, I was at my boyfriend's house at the time, and we were just like, I think we were just napping. Or I woke up terrified. I was like, wake up, you know, wake up and hold me, like kind of thing. I had dreamt, my dad had passed away, and I dreamt that I was in, well, it felt pretty real, but I was in this room where I was sleeping, and my dad like grabbed my ankles and was like, come with me. But my dad, you know, would never done something like that, but it was scary, and I was like, no, you know, I was like kicking. And then my grandfather came in and was like grabbing him, You're looking at me like maybe gonna go cry again. Like,
no, I'm surprised. Like,
yeah,
wow.
I know. Yeah, and then so like he pulled me and like basically saved me. And I remember asking a psychic medium friend like years later. He was just like, "Is there anything you want to say or ask?" Just random things during like a session. And I was like, "Yeah, this one time." I go, "Is that real?"
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Yeah, like that wasn't your dad." And I was like,
"Okay,
damn, that's some scary crap, you know."
When they try to be tricksters and show up as a different person.
And then for a while, I was seeing kind of like shadow people, and not in the sense of that like, where they're like the really dark entities, but kind of like in the peripheral vision. I'm like, was somebody just sitting there in the car?
Yeah,
I think I swear someone was in the car.
Or you'll see it like I see it a lot, like you said, at night. Like I'll either see it in my mind's eye or like I'll open my eyes and see it, and they look like old film when you would look through. It's like that white outline.
Filmy, yeah.
Like they're a white outline of themselves.
Huh. Yeah, and then sometimes, but then you don't know. Sometimes you don't notice until after. Like where I lived, there was like 2 houses that two sisters owned, and like the little mother lived there, and the mom, I was with my brother, and then we're like, my mom's like, "Oh yeah, that lady passed away," and I go, "When?" And she was like, "Oh, so like a month ago." I was like, "What?" And I was like, I could have sworn I still saw her walking between the houses like a couple weeks, and then my brother he gets really scared. He's just like, and I'm like, no, really, like how long ago was this? Like I think I just saw her like the other week, because I didn't think anything of it because that's just what she does, just walking in her little quilted vest. It
wasn't her. It was her spirit.
Just kind of those things, but it's interesting.
Yeah. Can you tell that one story of like the voice?
Which one?
The one you're saying, like, you sang?
Singing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was on an EVP, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was over at the Heritage Square in LA, and what they do is they've taken some historic Victorian homes from different parts of the county, and they put them there. And now it's kind of like a little place, kind of like a little time capsule, and then kids have field trips, and they learn about Victorian era and stuff like that. But they also, because of it's Victorian, they also have things, with the different places like haunted Orange County, and they'll do like, this event with like, whether it's like Scare Fest or, Halloween, or like, learn about the Victorian dead and their processes and stuff like that. But I went with an event, and then we split up into different houses and did some paranormal things, investigation-wise, with like EVP recorders, digital recorders for EVPs and stuff like that. And there was one house, it was had been owned by a paper baron, and he basically had a beautiful daughter. He kind of shut her away because he was very protective of her, but she played the piano and sang. And then so they're like, yeah, sometimes if people sing, he might say something. So I volunteered, and I sang like a little snip of an aria, and we stopped and recorded, and the lead investigator was like, oh, did you like that? How was Janell? She sings really good, right? And so we play it back, and the voice says, I like opera. And it was just like super clear.
That's so cool. I would
yeah.
to hear
I was like,
that.
oh, he likes me singing.
Thank you. From the beyond.
Yeah.
I wish I could hear that. I wish there was a way to find that and like hear.
I probably have it somewhere, but like you switch computers and they're just so buried. And
yes.
I'm like, oh no, one day I'll plug it all in and I'll get it off my computer, and that like just never happens.
Yeah.
Put it on the external hard drive. I have other EVPs years ago, for like 10 years ago, when the whole paranormal, like on Travel Channel kind of thing was like super new, like Ghost Adventures.
Great videos,
Yeah, they did an event at the Queen Mary, and I think they still do, with their own tours and stuff like that, some kind of midnight tour. But this was like a real big event. So if you watch those shows nowadays, a lot of those guys, were there from the different shows. And we broke into groups, and it was over a few nights. Gosh, I have so many stories from there. But one of
the best one.
One of the greatest places we got to investigate was the pool. And the pool is very well known for being haunted. And one popular spirit, they say, is a little girl.
Yeah,
and they see like little
girl.
footprints.
Yes.
But whether or not she could be there, but a common belief is that a lot of ghosts or spirits of like malintent like to pretend to be little
Yes.
children, right? To kind of
Yes.
get in. And people have also said there's like a portal in the dressing room, super heavy. I didn't go in there or get to there, but so anyway, we're investigating in the pool. It's empty and it's pitch black. And I feel like maybe only one other time in another area, in like, you know, never mind. Like another room was like terrifying.
Yeah.
But I've never been so terrified where you're just like walking in the dark and you're like, oh. It's like that saying, like, I'm not afraid of the dark. I'm afraid I'm not alone in the dark.
Yeah, you can feel something.
Yeah, you could totally feel it. You're just like, oh, you're walking around. And then this was with the same psychic medium, that I was talking earlier. And it was like me, it's just like a magnet. And then I'm trying to filter the stories because one, they were like cursing. But one neat thing, we sang, you know that children's song? Like, 1, 2, buckle my shoe. Yeah, kind of like the Freddy Krueger song. And then so we sang that and we stopped. We waited. We played it back. There are multiple voices on the digital recorder finishing the song. Yeah, and we were like, dang. Yeah, that was like one of the...
That's a great one. Yeah. I've heard that too. There's a little girl there. And I also wonder, like, is it something else? Is it residual energy of everyone believing there's a little girl and it's created this energy?
Right,
like,
Jackie. Yeah, a little...
Yeah. Well, and it's funny what you said about the was it dressing rooms or lockers?
Mm-hmm.
Because I also did a thing over a late night. It was like 1 a.m. and they took us there, and different parts of the ship. And in that area, what was so funny that happened was we were with this group of a lot of very manly, masculine men. And
that's when you know it's gonna go down. They're gonna go screaming. Right?
Yeah, and so my ex, it was me, my ex, his daughter, and my sister, who really didn't believe in it. But as they were telling the story of the little girl, she grabbed me and was digging her nails into me, oh my god, I'm getting scared. So everyone kind of dispersed and was looking at things, and we, I guess, separated from my ex. And all of a sudden we see the group of these manly guys going into the lockers. They start screaming at the top of their lungs, these shrill screams, and running. And we're like, what happened? They saw something in there. And so we run over, and who turns the corner but my ex, who's 5'3".
Yeah.
And the way he turned the corner, he looked not right. He was this, and his eyes were
oh,
serious.
No.
And he was walking, and I was like, is that what you guys are screaming at? And they're like, oh my god, we thought you were something else. And he's like, what? And he kind of broke out of this look, and he goes, what happened? And they're like, man, we thought you were something in there. And he goes, no, I heard something in there. That's why I got scared. I was walking out oh my god, oh my god.
He was terrified.
And no, we thought you were
I thought you were the kid.
Yeah. And he was so we were laughing. His daughter, me, and my sister were crying laughing because here are these big tough
burly guys
were screaming, and we're like, what is it? And it ends up, it's my ex,
your little ex,
walking out of the locker room what happened, guys? Yeah, I heard something in there too. And we were like, that was hilarious because it was nothing. But he said the reason he had that look was because he was scared. Because he had heard something before they walked in. So that was so funny. It's a fun place to do that stuff.
Oh yeah, it's definitely haunted. It's got its energies.
Yeah, it's got, sure. For sure. But thank you for sharing those stories.
You're welcome.
Welcome back. I have Aluna Lua here, and we are sharing our stories of ancestor visitations, spirit visitations. And you said you have a really good story to share.
I do. I have a story. One of my best friends, Juliana, she passed away 2016 in a car accident. And I was here in the US, she was in Brazil. Okay. So I had to go through that for the first time. Someone very close to me. Was really deep. Through my process of grief, I asked her, how do I connect with you? I'm ready to move through that and connect with you from the spiritual realm. Mm-hmm. And what was coming up for me was lucid dreaming. I met this friend and he told me about lucid dreaming. I'm like, wait, what? Lucid dreaming? And he's like, yeah, you can talk to people that passed away. You can consciously create an opportunity to speak with your friend. Yes. I was like, what? I want to do that. So I got super deep in lucid dreaming. I watched all YouTube videos. I got a book. I was committed to learn the act of lucid dreaming with the dream of seeing her again and asking questions and connecting with her. It was a much harder experience, a journey than I thought. It took me over 6 months studying lucid dreaming and doing all kinds of crazy practices during the night. Every night I got obsessed about it. And started to have lucid dreaming. I took a course in San Francisco. Like suddenly I became a geek of lucid dreaming. Until the day that I had a dream with her. And I encountered her. And it was the most beautiful, divine experience ever. She was in this playground. She was very childlike. So she was in this playground playing with all these kids. And she's like, yeah, this is where I live now. Like, my life is awesome. Come play. And we play around, and I got to ask her questions. She told me she chose to go. It was a consensual decision. It was very, very healing. Woke up from that dream, like, wow, made my dream come true. I was like, okay, I feel so much better. I told all my friends that she's okay and explained everything. And then what? Like, whoa, I just learned a badass skill. Some people learn lucid dreaming like they don't even need to do anything. It just happens. For me, it took a lot of work. After I learned the skill, what do I do with it now? I'm like, well, I guess there's something more here for me. I continued to study. I got into astral projection, going to these forums online, learning about creating different worlds in the astral. Until one day I had a dream that it wasn't a dream. Like, I was literally in this other dimension. And in this dream, I'm swimming in the ocean, and suddenly I start to draw. How do you say, like
a drown?
Drown. Okay. I started to drown. And I'm in Hawaii. So there's this party going on the beach. All my friends are there. I'm in the ocean thinking I'm gonna die. And I'm like, oh my God, save me, I'm gonna die. And then suddenly the ocean starts to sing. And he has this masculine voice, and he was singing like, Pensamento. Pensamento means the thought. Pensamento. And I start thinking about positivity. So the ocean takes me very gently to the shore. This man shows up. Hi, like, are you doing okay? And it's this divine man, beautiful, blonde, blue eyes. And I knew his name, and his name was Miguel. And I was like, Miguel, oh, I'm so glad you found me. Thank you for saving me. And just like brings me back to the party. I spent the rest of the dream kind of in this realm of knowing this Miguel very well. And he was this healer that guided me through life, explained me how to speak with the ocean, like this crazy thing. I wake up from the dream like, no way, this was not a dream. Like, where is he? Where is he? He is definitely real. Like, what just happened? Who is this guy? I have no idea. This dream blows my mind. And then I tell my friends, like, hey, I had this dream, tell about it. His name is Miguel. That's all I know. And my friend, Miguel, Michael. Oh, Lua, it's probably Archangel Michael. I'm like, Archangel Michael. And then I Googled Archangel Michael. The moment I Googled the visual, the images, it was him. No question. I just remember looking at the Google and just like dropped my phone, and I cried for hours. It just blew my mind away. I had no connection with Archangel Michael before. I didn't know anything about angels or archangels. Did not have a Christian background that was like that. And that just blew my mind. It took me a year to accept that I was visited by Archangel Michael, that he not only saved my life, but he gave me a purpose, that I actually work for him, and I should talk about him all the time, because every person that's meant to collaborate with me or do work with me, they also work with Archangel Michael. It's also one of their guides, which has so many names, however you want to call it, and depending on what you resonate with, he has so many names, but is the warrior spirit that is here on a war, in a battle. Fast forward, I read many books, did many ayahuasca ceremonies, had so many encounters with Archangel Michael from there that now I literally talk about that openly. When people think I'm crazy, I'm like, yeah, I work for Archangel Michael. He's my boss.
I love that so much.
And it all came from my friend that passed away that made me learn about dreams.
Absolutely.
So it's so crazy to see how one thing connected to the other, because I would never have had that dream or remembered of that dream if I hadn't done this whole journey before.
Beautiful.
So
thank you
feel
to your
the Archangel
friends.
Michael, he's the boss, and he's here to protect you, give you protection. You can call upon him at any moment, and all the band of angel mercy angels are here to support you in manifesting all the miracles and doing the mission that you're here to do in the world.
Absolutely, so true. I call in Archangel Michael and his it's escaping me right now. I say it almost every night, but his warriors to protect me as I sleep, because a lot of time I'll have like soul journeys that are so disruptive to my sleep that if I call in Archangel Michael, and then I can sleep more peacefully. And if those things need to happen, at least I can sleep physically while they're happening. So I use that a lot. And I've had, actually, it's so perfect because I just did a house blessing for someone where I was spray painting symbols on their wall, and I was called to look for a symbol of Archangel Michael, and there was many, and I used quite a few of them to spray paint them on the wall to call in that energy over where they were sleeping, over different areas of like their dining room and different spaces of the home. That was like less than a week ago that came through.
Every time the synchronicities that come through are insane. I had a huge process of accepting that and wanted to say that, I didn't say that at all. So it's very funny to embrace that. It was definitely a big process for me, but the moment I embrace it, and now it's so part of who I am, and people think about me, and I'm a place to remember of Archangel Michael. The synchronicities are just insane. I can't never deny. I don't even question anymore.
I want to share a story about that too, and it's not even my story, but because we were talking about the way that we're connected is through my sister. She has a half brother who they shared the same grandmother, and she was very religious, very much Archangel Michael. She would use him in her prayers. And one time my sister's half brother was driving down the road in a car that was using the vegetable oil as the main source of fuel, and he thought he was going to run out, and he didn't have a place, and he was kind of resisting asking for help through prayer, and suddenly felt his grandmother's energy, like, you need to ask Archangel Michael for help. And he kind of really was resisting it, and then he finally just said, fine, Archangel Michael's help me, and right then a truck or a van drove by with Archangel Michael painted on the back. Like a huge elaborate painting. And so he was like,
he's hilarious.
Okay.
He's truly hilarious.
So it's not my story, but it's connecting us, and it's perfect for this moment. But I love Archangel Michael's energy so much. That's perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Yay.
So we are here again with Veronica Vargas, and she is going to share a spooky story with us.
So I don't know about you, but when I stay in hotels, I have experiences. There just seems to be other energies there. One was in the famous Hotel del Colorado in San Diego, and I was sleeping and became aware of a woman standing at the foot of my bed, and she looked Victorian. She had a white poof blouse and a black long skirt, and her hair was in a bun. And when I see those things, I just put my head back down and just, hope all's well. And come to find out, there was a spirit that haunts apparently the hotel, and they had a picture of her and a name I can't remember right now, and it was that woman.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And another one was in a hotel in Texas, and it started off bad where I had a dream I couldn't move, that he was holding me down. He had a white t-shirt and short hair, but it wasn't to do harm. It was just so that I could hear him. And I woke up knowing that there was someone in the room, and the hangers in the closet started to move and clang. And then I quietly rolled over and said, all's well, and went to bed.
Amazing. Actually, I was telling you before, I can't remember now at this point what stories I've shared and not shared, but you telling those stories, I think I remembered some other stories. Yes, hotels are hard for me. I have like sprays and sage and all kinds of stuff to like lower the chatter.
Yes.
And I have a few that I'm trying to think of. Like, so one was I went to Hawaii with my boyfriend at the time and his daughter. She was very young, and she had a toothbrush that played Justin Bieber singing.
Oh, how cute.
That I think my mom had gotten her. And so we were sleeping, and then there was a wall, and then the bathroom where all our stuff was. And in the middle of the night, I heard like as somebody's moving through stuff, right? Like noises and stuff. And I look, and they're sleeping. And I'm like, okay, I know. And then all of a sudden the toothbrush turns on and starts singing a Justin Bieber song. And then I know when she uses it, it plays for a certain amount of time, like 2 minutes or 90 seconds, so that you brush your teeth for that long. And so I thought, oh my God, it's going to play for 90 seconds. They'll probably wake up. And it stopped right away. So it only played for like 10 seconds. And I was like, okay. They never woke up. They didn't ever. I told them about it the next day. And then, other times I've been hotels. One time I was in Italy, and we stayed at a great hotel. It was lovely, but then we decided to extend our stay, and we couldn't stay there anymore, so we stayed at a place by the train station in Florence, which isn't the best. And I was already having a hard time, and I woke up running full speed down the hall towards the lobby in my pajamas, hearing the person I was with yelling my name, and I kind of came to.
Oh, wow.
And what I had been running from was like, I was seeing all these people in the room, and they were doing terrible things, and so my instinct was literally to run. Sleep run.
Out. Yeah, sleep run.
And then the last one was, we took that same Justin Bieber toothbrush little girl, grew up, went to college, and we were taking her to college, and we were staying in a hotel near her college, and the whole time we were there, I kept seeing an elderly man walking through the room every single night, and he was very kind and nice. I wasn't afraid of him, and I didn't know until the last night when her mother, who was also staying there, said, oh, my dad, who had passed, keeps coming to me while we've been taking her to college.
Look at that.
And then I realized it was her grandpa who we were seeing, and she was having her mother was having her own experiences in her room where the alarm clock was unplugged and it was turning on and different things. And so I was seeing him every night, like walking through the room. So I've had similar things like you too, that I think I have shared, of a Victorian image and all of that, and then these two. So I totally forgot about all of those moments. So
you just spewed 3 more.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know, I can't think of any. There you go. So, but thank you. That was so great. Thank you for sharing that.
It was fun.
We just are having all these fun, spooky stories to share with you. So enjoy. I hope you enjoyed hearing everyone's stories. Our next episode will be similar, but more focused on the guests sharing ancestor visitations. They will be all new guests that were on the podcast, and one repeat guest that had an extra story to share. So see you in 2 weeks for that ancestor visitation episode. So thank you, healer, for joining us, and I wish you joy and serendipity on your healing journey, and I know our paths will cross again.